Yo, 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 what's the deal? It's your boy Norbs, and this is the 10-8 podcast. My bad, I'm out here stuttering, but I decided to give y'all an extra show today. I told y'all I was gonna give y'all an extra show today. You know how I give it up. The platform is growing. I appreciate everybody, and I decided to bring on a special guest to the show, Coach Eric Roman Sr., notorious coach in Brooklyn. You know what I mean? It's helped a lot of the names that you watched today, RICHARDSON, HITCHINS, Edgar Berlanga, shows a crazy passion for the sport. And I was like, you know what? Let me sit down with this man and just have a conversation. So I decided to bring him on. We're going to have a good episode. And also remember, tonight we're going to have another show as well. And I'm bringing on my man Jamel Herring as well as Iceman Scully to talk boxing. But we're going to talk boxing with my man Eric Roman Sr. right after this. Yo, like I said, my bad, y'all. I'm over here tweeting out the link, letting everybody know what time it is, but we are here. We're going to get it rocking. I'm going to introduce my guest in just 2 seconds. I'll let everybody get in the chat, and I'm going to introduce him right now. Let me bring him on. My guy. Coach, what's up, man?
Yo. What's going on, brother?
Chilling, man. I was going to give you the applause, but I changed all my buttons on my my Roadcaster.
Okay.
So I got to clap it up regular. But,
I'll clap for myself.
That's what I'm talking about. First of all, I was watching some of your stuff on Instagram. I've been doing my research on you, and
Okay.
you've been raising your kids very well. You got
Thank
Giant fans as well as Met fans.
Yes, sir.
I shout you for that. You know what I mean? 80s baby, I could tell already.
That's
you
a
know
fact.
what I mean? But as I was doing my research on you, right? Because you mess with my guys Four Corners, and I've been seeing your name pop up everywhere.
Right.
I caught an interview, and it made me be like, damn, dog, I really rock with this dude. I want to have a conversation with him.
Okay.
And in the interview, the guy asked you, I'm not sure who he was, what made you fall in love with boxing? And the answer you gave, it was like, oh shit, me and this guy can rock. You said 1988, January 22nd.
Mike Tyson versus Larry Holmes. Yep.
And when you said that, I said, oh no, he's a Brooklyn dude. He's a real Brooklyn dude for real.
That's a fact, yeah.
Man, I mean, get into that, man, because I could what you were saying was so dope, because I remember watching that fight in my grandmother's room in Sunset Park. She had like a living room that maybe is like 200 square feet, if that.
Did she have plastic on the couch?
Bro, plastic. You had the plastic on the couch. My grandfather had the Budweisers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it was like 200 people with the hot box running, bro. It was
right. I hear you.
But,
so for me that night, it resonates with me, man, because it really was the day I fell in love with boxing, And I can remember we were in East New York. I actually wasn't in my house at the time. We was in my aunt's house.
Mm-hmm.
And so in the building, it was a 3-family building, right? And so my aunt lived on the top floor, on the 3rd floor. And then one of my cousins, her daughter lived on the 2nd floor. And then my other cousin, her son lived on the 1st floor. So it was like a whole family took over the whole building, right?
Yeah.
So we went to go visit, but everybody was on the 3rd floor. And my cousin on the 2nd floor was the only one that had HBO. And my pops was like fiending, like, we're having like a little family party type shit, but I gotta watch the fight, man, So I just remember him like telling me like, yo, come on, let's go downstairs. We're gonna watch the fight. We're gonna sneak off. But I didn't know nothing. Like I didn't really watch boxing like that. At the time I was 7 going on 8 years old. So I'm like, all right, you follow your pops. So man, I just remember sitting on his lap on the couch, him putting it on. He was hyped. And he just kept talking about Tyson. And, they say Tyson from New York. And I'm like, oh, okay, he's from where we from. So, so now I'm getting into it, And just the way he dismantled Larry Holmes, and just how mean he looked. And, I seen guys like that outside, you know what I mean? So it was like, damn, this dude's on TV now, doing this shit, you know what I mean? So for me, it was like almost like an out of body experience. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And I was hooked, man. I mean, my dad, he was a truck driver, so like sometimes on my like little vacation time, like from school,
Yeah.
whatever, I would work with him. I would go to work with him,
Mm-hmm.
and he used to go to this one spot where he would pick up, when he would do his job at, and it was like a warehouse, and they always had fight posters everywhere, So like, I used to be hyped because I would always see like Hagler versus Leonard fight poster up, like all the four kings. They had
Mm-hmm.
it plastered all over that warehouse, and I just be like, damn, like it was like, I mean, it was all I can say is that it grasped me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like and I was like, that I want to do that. I want to do that.
It's
That was
crazy.
basically it for me. I mean,
It's crazy you bring that up, right? Because you're Puerto Rican. I can tell.
yes,
I'm
hmm
Puerto Rican.
yeah,
And it's so crazy because the same experience you had, right? I had it on the other side of town. I had it in Sunset Park. So we
okay,
would get together in Sunset Park on 49th Street between 5th and 4th, right? One of
hmm
the worst blocks, right? I'm talking
yeah,
about drug infested everything, right?
yeah, yeah,
For my grandmother's building. And it would be so packed. Literally, we would leave the doors open. And when Mike Tyson fought, literally the neighborhood shut down.
hmm
And bro, like how you're saying, Mike Tyson was like a god
yeah,
to us. Like we
yeah.
looked, and whether you were black, Puerto Rican, whatever,
Didn't
Mike
matter. Yeah,
was that guy. And
yeah. He was for the culture. He was for the streets. He was for
bro,
like all of us that we
mhm,
just. It was
absolutely,
like one of us in there.
yeah. And not only that, this is the crazy thing. He ended up coming to my grandmother's block because he was dating some chick. Like Mike would be outside. Like people don't understand how Mike was really outside. Like Mike would pull
Yeah,
up, bro, and just
facts.
chill. Like I don't think
Yeah.
people really understand who Mike Tyson
He
was.
pull
And
up
I
in a
remember,
Rolls Royce and just chilling
mhm,
right in the middle of the neighborhood, man. Like
bro,
nothing.
he used to date this girl right across the street from my grandmother's house, right?
Okay.
And he, people found out he was coming, so he ended up buying like some bullshit car that had to sneak in, right?
Mm.
And somebody saw him, bro. The entire block came outside, like literally, if surrounding this one apartment. And they're like, Mike, you come outside. Mike's having dinner. He's with his girl, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm thinking Mike's gonna be like, yo, get out of here, leave me alone. No
Nah.
security, bro. Mike Tyson comes out by himself, right? By himself, no security, bro. This is about
Yeah.
it got to be at least 600 people outside. The cops are outside. Everybody knows Mike's there.
hmm
Like, all right, everybody come over here. He grabs me and my brother and he puts us around his arms like that. And he takes a picture. And I don't know who got the picture. Somebody, I
Damn.
don't got the picture, right? So he's telling, he's showing love to everybody, clapping hands. He's like, yo, he sees a pigeon coop on Fifth Avenue.
Mm.
He goes up the block. He starts flying pigeons. Now, this is Mike Tyson in his prime. I'm talking about superstar
Crazy.
Mike Tyson.
Crazy.
So when you said that shit in the interview, I was like, bro, this is crazy because
Yeah.
Mike was really him.
Oh yeah.
Literally.
Oh yeah. He was him before anybody was him.
But there's a guy
Facts.
you didn't mention that I was like, I'm surprised you didn't mention this guy, who
Who's
was
that?
another guy at the time, was Hector Macho Camacho.
Oh yeah. Macho time.
Who again, that's another guy. Whenever they were around the
Mhm.
same time, when Camacho
Yeah.
would fight, the whole neighborhood would go.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
growing up, we're around the same age, right? How
Mhm.
influential were these guys? And remember,
Oh,
there's no
big
social
time, bro.
media at this time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It was huge, bro. Huge. Just the ring entrances with Macho Camacho, the
Mhm.
outfits. He transcended the game. He changed everything really, because now you look at the outfits, the ring entrances that
Mhm.
started with Macho Camacho. You know what I mean? Like he was a trendsetter. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
for him to go out the way he did, that was heartbreaking for me. You know
Yeah,
what I mean, I'm sure it was
absolutely.
heartbreaking for you too. But he's a legend, bro. He's
You know
definitely a
what's
legend.
crazy about Camacho, right? And I know you trained Edgar Berlanga, who's a Puerto Rican kid out of
Mhm.
Bushwick, right?
Yep.
It's very hard for Puerto Ricans to get love from the actual island because if you're raised from here, right?
hmm
And Camacho always glamored that. He always wanted that love. He ended up moving to Puerto Rico. I remember running into him when I
Yeah.
was a kid out there. And to die in Puerto Rico like that, and I feel like he doesn't get his just due. I don't think people really appreciate who Camacho actually was.
Right.
as a fighter. And he's another one. Between him and Mike Tyson, they were pretty much very similar, which is kind of crazy.
Mhm.
Out in the streets, you catch
Yep.
Camacho
No
anywhere.
security either. He
Nothing,
was
man.
chilling with just with everybody. Just
Yeah.
you know,
I
he
mean,
was loved everywhere.
and if for some reason, like, you know, in boxing, you know, there is, like, you know, the rivalries with the countries and stuff like that, but certain fighters transcended throughout all communities. And Camacho and Mike, to me, are like, you can't say nothing about him, especially Mike Tyson. You can never say nothing about Mike Tyson in Brooklyn. Like, he's literally like, yo,
Yeah.
there's nothing you can say.
Yeah.
How you know, watching Camacho, what's your best Camacho story that you remember?
Oh, I mean, I was in Miami. This is a personal story. I was in Miami in Coconut Grove. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Miami, but
Mhm.
there's a thing called Art Basel that goes on now
Okay.
every year, where all the artists from all over the world go over there and they sell their art, they showcase whatever they have, and it's a big deal, you know. But this particular one, I think it was like 2009, maybe 2008, around there,
Yeah.
and it was like the first or second Art Basel ever in Miami.
Hmm.
I didn't really know much about it. I just knew it was gonna be popping, so I just went out there, right?
Yeah.
And I was living in Miami at the time, so I go out there and I just see this, like, there's mad people, but I see this head like bouncing around in the crowd,
Hmm.
and it looks like he's trying to get through traffic, like, and I don't know where it was. Macho Camacho, he was jogging, he was
Wow.
running through all the people, right? So I was like, holy shit. And I was a fighter still at the time. I wasn't coaching
Yeah.
yet. I had already kind of started the coaching process because
Hmm.
I was like in the gym with my coach, just picking his brain and learning from him more, like on a more personal type note. But you know, when he popped out, I was like, oh shit. Like, I had met him once before, which is another funny story, at a amateur card where his son was fighting, Camacho Jr. He
Yeah.
was young. He's about my age, Camacho Jr.
Hmm.
And he might be a couple years older than me, a year older than me, but he was fighting. And after the fight, I was sitting down, and his pops was there too. And his
Hmm.
pops was standing next to me, and I had to be probably like 15 years old, maybe at the time. And his pops, out of nowhere, grabbed me. Hector Senior, Macho grabbed me,
Yeah.
and I was like, I got like shook for a second. I was like, oh shit. And he was like,
Yeah.
come on, Ned, let's go, nigga. He goes like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, what the hell, bro? And he was like, oh, my bad, Papi. I thought you was my son, man. You know?
That's
So I was like,
crazy.
oh, nah, it's all right, man. It's all right, man. You know, shit, it's Macho Camacho, man. I didn't care, you know? And then that was it. Like, he walked off, you know?
Nah,
So
I mean,
the day I seen him in Art Basel, like,
yeah.
I was like, yo, man, come here, man. And he stopped, like, he stopped his jog. I was like, yo, what's up, man? But he was like, I don't know if he was wired, I don't know what, but he was on one. Like, he was hyped up, you know what I mean? And
That's
he took pictures with us and everything. He was mad cool, man. You
that's
know?
our 80s heroes. They were all wired. But, you know, I
Yeah,
remember
yeah.
I never had an interaction with him, with Camacho. I got to see him. I was a Puerto Rican, he was in his boat, and he was just like, Macho time, whatever. I remember at the Puerto Rican Day Parade, he used to love going to Puerto Rico, but this time he was like, he was a Grand Marshal, and he came out,
Okay.
and Puerto Ricans went crazy for him.
Yeah.
Like between him and Mike Tyson, I'm not gonna lie, I think they might be two of the most iconic figures, period,
In history.
in history.
In history.
And it's so crazy because they have so many similarities in their regard, and it's kind of crazy how beloved they are, man. And just watching Mike, like, you can't say a bad thing about Mike Tyson to me. And I remember,
I mean, you can, but we won't.
no, I can't, bro. You can't to me. Like, I would be offended.
Yeah,
like,
me
I
too.
remember, and this is a kid. I don't know. I remember when Mike Tyson first lost, right, bro. When he lost to Buster Douglas, I was heartbroken.
Me too.
I feel like I lost.
Yeah,
Like, I was
yeah. I think we felt that as a whole. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, the whole city was like. I remember it was all over the newspapers, and it was on the front page, not the back page. Sports. I don't know if people, you know, they don't realize that in New York the back page is all sports, but it was on the front page, man.
Yep,
And it was like, oh man, when I seen it, I was like, damn, man, it really happened, bro. Like, it
bro.
was
It was like
hurtful,
in
bro, for all of us.
Japan. I remember
Yeah,
like it was like a weird time, so I actually got to miss it. So I didn't actually get to see it, but I heard it, and I was like, "No way, Mike lost the bus
right,
now. Are you
right.
serious?"
Yeah.
That loss, and when Camacho, it's kind of crazy because that was a shock, right? And then
Mhm.
like Camacho was the one, like, yo, I feel like he's so great, right? I want to see him be the best. I feel like Camacho always had every skill set to be the best, but I always heard from my dad growing up, like, he's always in the streets.
Right.
You got to stay away
Yeah,
from
we
the streets.
knew. Hmm.
Bro, we all, and like all Puerto Ricans knew that, or even boxing fans, that Camacho was really out there. And
Hmm.
I remember when he fought when he fought Chavez, right?
Yeah.
That was the most heartbreaking fight to see.
Yeah.
And it
Hmm.
hurt me, bro. Like those two, of any fights in my entire career, to my entire life that I
Yeah.
watched, those were the two fights that hurt me the most. Where I was like, damn, son, like
Hmm.
I really do love boxing.
Yeah. 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 You
You
felt
know,
it.
yeah, but there's certain guys, like a lot of people maybe attached to a George Foreman, rest in peace,
Right.
Muhammad Ali. But
Yeah.
for me, it was Mike and it was Camacho.
Hmm.
And that's why I love talking boxing. That's why I love seeing uh, what's going on today. I'm glad the Barclays Center eventually came to Brooklyn. Now that
Oh yeah.
kind of invigorated and
Oh
made
yeah.
it more Brooklyn boxers coming out.
Right. Right.
And I say that to say this: that love made you become you went amateur, right? For
Hmm.
40, I think you said 46 fights, you won
46.
42,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
You didn't go pro,
Hmm.
right? Why didn't you decide to go pro?
And it wasn't really I mean, I guess it was a decision, but it was more, I had a lot of personal things going on.
Mm-hmm,
My ex-wife and we had like a toxic relationship at the
mm,
time, and it wasn't good for me to get in the ring like that.
mm-hmm,
My mental state was it wasn't on 100, and I was on the streets, kind of like trying to comfort myself with street life instead of
mm,
staying in the gym, and I wasn't disciplined. And I knew if one thing I'll give myself credit for is I was always smart enough to know that you can't step in the ring if you're not 100%,
yeah,
you know. And as an amateur, even I would get in the ring not at 100%.
mm-hmm,
The problem was I would win like
mm,
that. So I would say, oh, fuck it, man. I'm gonna keep doing me. You know what I mean?
mm-hmm,
And I actually had a contract with Don King on the table at
mm-hmm,
one point in my career. I think I was like 19 years old,
yeah,
I was about to be 20 maybe. And
mm-hmm,
I was like, nah, I'm not 100, man. Like I'm out here partying and you know, it's women and the street life is just it had a hold of me. I mean,
and people don't understand street life when it comes to, especially when we were growing up.
hmm.
I remember. So my dad was raised in Bushwick, right?
Yeah,
And you were raised in Bushwick.
yes,
And I knew all the stories, the factories. Bro, my dad was this gonna sound crazy, but he used to be like a leader of a gang in Bushwick. I think it was called like the
okay,
Devil's Rebels, some stupid shit like that, right?
okay,
He would tell me all of these stories. So when I heard you were from Bushwick, and then I eventually started going to Bushwick and hanging out and seeing this shit, I'm like, yo, this shit is kind of, you got kids dying. And
It was a
literally, like,
war
people
zone.
don't realize that
It was
Bushwick is
definitely a
separate.
war zone.
Yeah, and people don't realize too, Bushwick, for people that aren't from Brooklyn, is separated by Broadway, and then there's Bushwick and then Bed-Stuy. So you have
Hmm.
like both elements that are crazy. So to even
And
come out,
then, and if you go more
mhm,
east, there's a section where East New
mhm,
York meets Bushwick meets Bed-Stuy. All three of them.
exactly,
It's like a triangle of
hmm,
straight craziness.
exactly,
So it was not easy out there,
hmm,
man. And I saw a lot of crazy shit growing up that,
yeah,
most of these kids nowadays, I have no idea. You know what I
no,
mean?
and it's crazy because my dad wanted to shelter me from that because he lived,
Hmm.
he ended up changing his life and raising us. But I ended up going and seeing this stuff. And I remember on Myrtle and Broadway, this kind of really fucked me up. I ain't gonna lie. There's a dope head clinic right there,
Hmm.
and I would see every day people going there getting their like their fix or whatever, right?
Yep.
And I remember seeing a father and a son on a stoop, right? And both of them were leaning. And that shit really fucked me up. And I'm like, that could have been me and my dad, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, you really think about it, like, and for like, you know, for my dad to be there and me like be like, damn, son, like, to keep me away from that is kind of crazy, because people don't understand how accessible these things are and how you can get caught up on the streets. And the reason I bring that up is because you're a coach, and that's necessary. That's pretty much what a dad is in a sense. It's a coach, and you decided to take your talents, even though you didn't go pro. You recognized that early, but like, you know what, I'm not ready mentally. I'm not doing that. But you took it upon yourself to not only take care of your kids. Like I see your sons are. I'm not sure. I think both of them. How many kids you got? I know one of them is.
I got a lot of kids.
Yeah,
I got 6, but just one of them fights. Just
okay, one of them. I
see,
but I know he has. I guess he has a nickname, because I know I've seen him.
Malito.
Yeah,
Malito.
Exactly. And you know, you kind of took your love and you helped your son, right? And then now you're helping other people's kids in Bushwick, which makes you a legend right now. And I don't think people understand. No, don't underestimate that, bro. Because a lot of people, coaching is one of the biggest things that you can do, especially the youth, and keeping them away from stuff.
Yeah.
What made you? What caused your love for coaching?
Or
what made you get into it?
It was my passion for the sport as a whole. You know what I mean? Like, just being a fighter and not recognizing that, okay, my career is kind of coming to an end as a fighter, right? Shout out Cano Loco, who they say needs some sparring right now. I got you. If you don't spar with me, motherfucker, I'll whoop your ass. But nah. So the passion for the sport, you know, as a fighter, and I said to myself, look, I was about 28 years old, and I had never turned pro, you know, and I had joined the military, so that kind of like that military stint. When I got out, I think I was 26 at the time, and I said, man, let me fight a couple more times, amateur, you know, and see if I still got this shit, you know, because it never left my mind. And so I said, you know what, man, I got in the ring, I fought a couple more times, and I was like, oh man, like it's there, but I didn't feel it like I used to, you know what I mean? Pause. And so my coach started telling me like, yo, man, but you got a really like good boxing IQ. Like, you really smart at this shit. You understand boxing better than a lot of people do. Just sit with me, talk to me. Let's work this out. Help me with this kid over here, he would say, you know. And at that time I was maybe about 27, 28. And I really didn't want to coach. You know, I didn't see myself like that. But what really started bothering me was watching other coaches.
Okay.
And I started going like, bro, these guys is trash. Like, they don't know what they're doing, bro. So I started going up to like some of their fighters and going, yo, man, come over here, man. Look, that's not how you do that, man. This is how you do it, you know. And it kind of just naturally happened. Like, all of a sudden now, everybody's coming up to me for advice. Coach, what do I do here? Coach, I'm not no coach, bro. Like, and then finally I was like, damn, I guess I kind of am a coach now, you know what I mean? And at the time I was living in Miami. So I decided to move back to New York. And then that's kind of when my coaching career took off.
First of all, you're nuts for moving from Miami to New York. I'm just telling you. Right?
So right? You ain't the first to tell me that, but you know, I guess you know, when you done it all in one place, sometimes you got to go back to where you came from. You know, I had to come back to reinvent myself, to find myself. You know what I mean?
I mean, you know, what's crazy is that's always been in you. It's just something that's natural, and great coaching is. I think people underestimate that, whether in all sports, especially in boxing. Though, I think people underestimate a great trainer, somebody that understands the sport, understands what you're going through. And you were a fighter. You know what these fighters are dealing with. You were also in the streets, like you said. You were dealing with it mentally. So for you to be able to influence some of these guys like a Richardson, Hitchins, COLEY, Berlanga, and more important, your son. Because your son's a professional boxer.
Not yet. He's still amateur.
Amateur. I'm sorry, but how difficult is to take these guys and kind of keep them even keel, like you know, when it comes to teaching them, because that's basically much what you are, as a teacher.
Yeah, I'm a teacher. Number one, I'm a teacher, and Well, it comes. It's like this, right? Like if you know boxing, right,
Mm-hmm.
and you speak that language, real good fighters recognize that,
Mm-hmm.
and they know they can read through bullshit, and they can see the truth. And when all these fighters talk to me, they see the truth. They can't. There's no denying it, you know. And I'm not here trying to toot my own horn,
Mm-hmm.
but I know boxing. You know, I've been like this since I could remember. You know, I would analyze fights. I study boxing like crazy. It's all I watch. I'm
Mm-hmm.
home 2 in the morning. I'm watching old fights, black and white. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like I study everything. So um, just combining that with my experiences in the ring and then the teachings of my coach, you know, God rest his soul, was, you know, a Hall of Famer that had world champions on his belt that he created, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned from a great coach, and me being around what I was around and understanding that I was undisciplined helped me become a better coach, because now I know when a fighter is being undisciplined.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I can see it coming from a mile away, when a guy's not training hard, when he's not eating right, when he's not running, or when he's, you know, when he's sleeping around when he's not supposed to. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I know. It takes 1, 2 rounds for me to know, man. You you know you slipping, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And all that combined makes me a great coach. You know what I'm saying?
How hard is it to keep it real with some of these guys that eventually get contracts, become fighters, professional fighters that now are getting some type of popularity? Because I've known some of the guys that have come up that have had a lot of potential. I remember Young B Hop, right?
Yeah.
Very talented, had the Netflix thing,
Hmm.
um, fast hands, had all the skills. And I remember, uh, having conversations with him at the barbershop. And I remember when he became pro, I remember I was hearing stuff. I don't know how true it is or whatnot, but just it's you sometimes you start smelling your own shit. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And a lot of people feel like that kind of led to him losing at the end. People saying, "Oh, he's not running." I don't know how true these things are. How
Hmm.
hard is it to keep these fighters once they're like, "Yo, I'm here already." You know what I'm saying? How hard is it to
Yeah.
keep it real? Because to me, I can't see you lying to a fighter. Like you seem like a very genuine dude. Like, yo, bro, like I can see you
Yeah.
pulling.
Here's the thing with me, right? I'm no nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of fighters can't handle that because they can't handle the truth. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm a straight shooter, man. Like I tell it like it is. And if you stinking it up, I'm gonna tell you straight up. I'm not a yes man. I don't sit around and hope that you keep me in your corner, or hope that you keep me around. Look, I got knowledge, and this shit ain't going nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't, you know, if you decide that we can't work together anymore because I'm too tough on you or something like that, then my boy, good luck. Have a good career. I'm
Mm-hmm.
good. I'm good. I'm gonna last in this business because I got knowledge. I
Mm-hmm.
understand all aspects of the sport, not just
Mm-hmm.
in the ring, but also outside the ring. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm Gucci. Like you don't, I don't worry about fighters that if you don't want to listen and you want to do it your way and you want a whole team of yes men, then by all means go do that. But this boxing shit is a marathon. It's not a sprint. And at the end of the day, we're gonna see who was right and who was wrong. You know what I mean? So I
Mm-hmm.
don't worry about. I'm gonna tell you exactly how I feel. I'm gonna protect you from yourself if I can. And if you decide that you don't agree with that or you want to do something else, hey man, that's cool. That's on you.
No,
That's how I
that's
see
I
it.
mean that's facts, and it's kind of crazy because like I see that with a lot of these kids. They get stuck in the notoriety. They start doing things. The reason I bring up B Hop is because the recent losses, and I watch everything, and I got to see him live and stuff like that. So it is sometimes people don't reach their potential where they
Yeah,
should for whatever reason, and sometimes it's who you keep around. And you're right. The yes men situation, I think, got to be one of the biggest problems in
it's a
boxing because
pandemic. It's a
yeah.
pandemic in boxing.
Yeah, I know. And once some of these guys start, celebrities start coming around, they start forgetting kind of, to stay focused. And
Hmm.
people attribute a lot of things to Floyd Mayweather talent wise, but people also got to remember he did his training. He kept in the gym. He
That's the
didn't
that's the that's the
run.
part that they eliminate
Hmm.
for some reason, and that's the most important part. You know, like Floyd. Yes, he lived his life. You know,
Hmm.
he went out. He had women. He did all that.
Yeah.
but he was in the gym almost 24/7. You know what I'm saying? Like he trained his ass off. You know what I mean? He was super disciplined, both in and outside of the ring.
Yeah.
So, you know, if they don't, Floyd gave everybody the blueprint.
Yeah.
Everybody. It's out there. But people are trying to skip over the first half of it and just go to the Money Mayweather half. And it's like, oh, you can't do that. You
That's
got to
funny.
go through it.
That's funny you say that because, you know, people don't understand there's two Floyds, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's Pretty Boy and there's Money May,
It's money.
right?
Yep.
Money May was the business guy. Pretty Boy is what got him there. And Pretty Boy was, I mean,
Animal.
explain Pretty Boy, man, because I don't think
He was
people
an
understand who Pretty Boy was.
Pretty Boy Floyd was this kid that came from nothing, right? He was in Grand Rapids, Michigan,
Yeah.
and his pops, you know, was in the street, hood dude, locked up, all that, right? And his uncle was off to the side winning world championships and fighting Chavez and, you know, getting big paydays out in Vegas. And and it seemed like he clamored for that, like he wanted that bag, you know, and he did everything possible. You know, he knew that there's two sides of the coin here. I could be like my dad, who didn't really make it in boxing because he went this route, or I could be more so like my uncle and be a world champion, right? And so he followed his uncle's lead mainly, and and he did things that a lot of young kids today won't even dare do. He went out to different training camps where guys like Frankie Randall and like these big name guys where he would get work with them. He would spar with Pernell Whitaker. He would spar with these guys as a kid, 16 years old, 17 years old, in there with the best guys in the world. And he was giving them problems, you know. And, you know, I'm sure he had his bad days too.
Yeah.
You know, because you ain't going to have great days, you know, getting in the ring with those guys every day. They going to get their licks too. So, but he did it. And that's how you learn. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's days that my son will tell you right now, man, he been in the ring with Africa, with Hitchins. And Hitchins will put it on him. You know what I'm saying? And I got to take the father out and just be the coach in that moment, because I understand that this little ass whooping he's getting right now is going to mold him into being great. And there were days where he explains it like this, like, some days I'll say, yo, Africa's coming to work with you right now, right? And he'll go, you know, and I'll go, what, man? I'll say, what? And this is how he explained it. He goes, it's like seeing a bomb, like, get sent in the air and it's headed right to you.
Yeah.
And you just watching it and you know it's going to explode right on your head, you know? And you're just like, damn, here it comes. He goes, that's what it feels like when you tell me I'm coming, Africa's coming to spar with me right now, you know? But today he'll tell you, yo, I'm that shit made me. You know what I'm saying? Like, just it made him think more. It made his speed levels go up. You know, it made him believe in himself more, because if he could go in there with Hitchins and give him work and do some rounds with him, that, bro, who the hell's gonna beat him here on this level? You know what I'm saying? So that's how you gotta mold a fighter, man. You know, you gotta go out there, and that Hitchins did it himself. He would leave and leave his camp and travel, you know, and he'd be sparring with Shakur, and he'd be, even at a young age, them dudes been going at it, you know. You know, sometimes he'd call me, he'd be like, yeah, I'm in Miami right now. I'm with Tank, man. We just working. And I'm like, who you went there with? And he'd be like, I'm by myself. And I'm like, damn, he really going out there and doing it, man. And that's what Floyd did. That's what Pretty Boy Floyd did. He went out there on his own accord, and he went to go get it. And these fighters is waiting for it to come to them. And that's the big difference. You know what I mean?
Speaking of Hitchinson, this is kind of crazy. He was actually one of the people as well that I remember coming to my cousin's barbershop. And I remember him, you know, introduced him as Africa. I didn't even know him as so I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
And he was a very quiet, humble kid. Like, I was just like, all right. And it's crazy because it was him and B-Hop in the shop all the time. My man, Elvin, he used to be he's a big boxing fan. His brother's a fighter and all that.
Okay.
And I remember a lot of the hype was around B-Hop or whatnot. And Africa kind of went under the radar for a long time till recent. Like, and now, you know, he's talking a lot more because he understands. But I remember Africa very quiet, and it's kind of dope that you say that. Like his work ethic kind of got him there, and a lot of stuff wasn't really handed to the kid, and I respect that about.
Yeah, nothing was.
Hitchens,
Nothing
man.
was. He really went out there and got it. He's a great listener. You know, part of being a great fighter is being a great listener. And
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Keep going.
sorry. And you know, I'm proud of him, man. Like he came a long way, you know, from winning the national tournaments, you know, to getting to the Olympics, you know, to now, you know, grinding it out and you know, he kind of came up, even though he was under Floyd in the beginning of his career, you
Yeah,
know, he
yeah.
came up the hard way because Floyd kind of had him on the shelf. You know what I mean?
I'm
And
listen. I remember, like I said, he literally flew under the radar. Some people knew him, but he wasn't regarded as the top prospect or the, you know
right,
what I'm saying? And I'm just being
yeah,
real. Like,
yeah.
so,
Well, we had guys in our gym that didn't believe in him, you
mhm.
know, and I would say like, yo, y'all bugging. Like he's the truth, man. Like I know,
What did you see
bro.
him? What did you see him? Give me your best Rich the Hit story. What made you look at him and say, this kid is special?
He knew he was great.
Okay, explain that.
His confidence, like when you see a kid like that and you speak to him, he doesn't question anything within
Mm,
himself. He knows. He knows he's great. Like he doesn't, you know, I talk to a lot of guys and they go, yo, man, one day I'm gonna be a world champion, huh? And I'm like, man, you don't even believe that shit yourself, man. You know?
yeah,
But
yeah.
when I talk to Africa, he knows. When he speaks, when he says something, he knows. He knows in his heart it's the truth. He
Mm,
doesn't second guess himself at all. And so, you know, upon like, you know, getting to know him better and better as he grew older, you know, I started seeing him elevate um his game to where like, oh shit, like he's really dominant with these guys. Like you see him in the ring with big name fighters. I'm not gonna name names, but guys that you know now and love now, and he dominated them in the gym. Dominated
I
them.
can't name one name. I'm sorry. Keep going. Yeah.
No, I won't do that. No, 'cause
It's all
they
right.
my boys too. They my boys too. But he just looked super dominant in the gym. I'll give you a name of a guy that was undefeated at the time, and he came to the gym from PA. We didn't know he was coming. He kind of came out of nowhere. They said they gave the call like 10 minutes before, like, yo, we coming to the gym. We need
Mhm,
some work. Who you got? And I was like, oh, word. So I said, yo, Af, man, you gotta get busy today. And he never like ducks no sparring. Like
mhm.
he loves getting in the ring. That's one thing about him too, that he loves the sport. He loves boxing. And you gotta
You
love
see it, yeah.
boxing if you want to do
Mhm,
this. You know what I mean?
mhm,
But he said, who's coming in? I said, this kid from Jersey, Puerto Rican kid named John Bowser,
mhm,
right? And he said, oh, all right, that's that oh, I got you. I'm good. So I said, all right. So boom, kid comes in. And well, I tell you, he whooped his ass, bro, all
mhm.
over the place, man. And I was like, a lot of people in that gym, a lot of people that supposedly quote unquote friends of Africa were like, yo, Bowser's gonna whoop his ass, you know, like damn, he could fight, you know. And I'm like, you bugging, man. Watch, you gonna
Mhm,
see. And one thing about Africa, like I know about him, I know how to push his buttons, right? So
mhm,
like I know how to put a battery in his back. I'll talk
mhm.
shit for him because he talks, but
Yeah,
he don't get started early. Like he'll just stay
yeah.
quiet, and then after a little bit, he'll start. When he starts whooping your ass, he starts talking like crazy, right? You can't shut
Mhm,
him up. But sometimes I like to put the battery in his back early, so I'll talk shit for him, man. What? But you'll see. Watch. And boy, he was whooping his ass, talking shit, everything, and that he
mhm.
put everybody in the gym on notice. Everybody. And I think it was from that day forward that I was like, yo, he's really gonna be a world champion, man. It's really gonna happen. I know it.
You got,
And at that point, I started like he was still signed with Floyd, and he was on. I think he only had like 11, 12 pro fights at the time.
mhm.
And I was like, yo, he didn't fight for like a year. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And he didn't know. He didn't really know the business. So you know, that's another story. But you know, I like to say that I put him on with the guys he's with now, and two and a half years later, he's a world champion. And he's about to make a couple million to fight Cambosis. So it's a beautiful story, man. It's a beautiful thing.
You know what's crazy about the story about the way you speak about Richardson, right? You could just tell like you got a lot of love for him, like almost like
yeah,
a
man.
son. Like it's crazy, bro. Like the way you talk about him, it's like a proud father, and I think that's super dope, man.
I would say more so him. I'm like a proud big brother to him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay.
because I'm not his coach. You know, he has a good coach,
Mhm.
and I just look at him like he calls me for advice all the time. Like we talk on the regular. You know, he comes to the gym to visit. You know, we'll do pads. We'll fucking, you know, start chopping up about boxing. You know, right away
Yeah,
he'll start picking my brain. Yo, what about this? What should I do here? Or, what do I do when I fight this guy? And
that's dope.
you know, it's just kind of like a relationship that I have with him that is more than boxing. You know what I mean? It's a
Yeah.
brotherhood. You know what I mean? And I got love for him, man. Just the same way that I got love for Edgar. You know,
Mhm.
EB's like my little brother, man. And
Mhm.
although I was his coach in the amateurs coming up, you know, I got love for him till this day, man. Like, and he's the another one. Like, he'll hit me up, we talk, and we'll whether it's about life or boxing.
Mhm.
And I'm grateful for all those relationships that I have with all those fighters. You know what I mean? Because it made me a better coach.
Yeah. Now we're gonna get to EB in a couple, but with Richardson, right? You know, he's been calling out Teofimo, right,
Yeah.
for a while, and I think that, to me, this is just me personally. I think Teofimo's the best fighter at 140. I think talent wise, I think he's the most athletic, whatnot. And Richardson hit his last fight I watched. I thought he was good, and it's funny you mentioned the slow starter stuff that he started the same way.
Yeah.
And now he's gonna fight Cambosis. Well, shout out to Cambosis, who ducks no smoke. People need to give
Yeah.
him a lot more credit. But I believe Richardson's gonna go out and beat him. I think he's laying the foundation for a Teofimo fight.
Correct.
What do you think about the fight with him and Teofimo Lopez? Do you feel like he wins that fight? How does he win that fight? And I mean, what do you feel like about Teofimo?
Teofimo is the number one 140-pound fighter in the world. He is. You know, I know he doesn't have all the belts, but to me, he's the undisputed champion. He's the lineal
I don't say
champion,
I'm bugging,
right?
by the way, but I'm with you, coach.
Yeah. So, I think that he's number one because he's the lineal champion.
Yes.
But when he fights Richardson, he's gonna lose.
Why?
Too much. Hitchins is too disciplined in the ring.
Mm.
He does not make any mistakes, right? Let's not account for the Lemos fight. The Lemos fight, the fight he had before Paro. A lot of people don't know that he went in there with one hand. His other hand was destroyed. He had,
Okay.
you know, he couldn't even feel it, that fight at all. He had taken shots in the hand, all that, you know, cortisone shots. And he went in there pure heart, pure heart. So I don't really take that fight, you know, although it was the hardest fight of his career thus far, there were reasons why. He had a terrible weight cut as well, right? Which he fixed for the Paro fight. You know, I think that I think he took Lemos for granted. I think he thought, this dude ain't shit. You know, he can't beat me. You know, I'm gonna go in there and just outbox him. You know, I'm good with one hand, and he realized that, you know what, boxing is not like that.
You
Like
don't
just
play
because I'm
boxing.
super talented, yeah, I can't play this shit. And so he fixed himself. That's why I love how he is. He went back to the drawing board and he said, wait a minute. Number one, what am I going to do about this weight cut? Because I can't do what I did last time, right? So what did he do? The only difference was he finally listened. For the other fights, he didn't listen to everybody. He would go, I'm going to keep eating. Like, yeah, all right, I'll eat what you told me to eat, but then I'm going to sneak this on the side, you know? And then it comes down to the time where he has to cut the weight. Now it's harder. Now he kind of has to drain himself, right? Where when he fought Paro, he was on point. He didn't make not one mistake leading up to the fight. So when it was time to cut the weight at the end, it was easy, and he felt strong. And so you saw, I wouldn't say the best version Africa that night
Mhm.
because I'm sure like the nerves played into it. World title fight, you know, he
Yeah.
wasn't in the U.S. He was out in Puerto Rico,
Mhm.
and so it wasn't like his fan base really. Which, by the way, the Puerto Rican community did like fall in love with Hitchins
Mhm.
after that. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like they showed him a lot of love, I should say. But that night you saw a better version of him.
Mhm.
And I think with Cambosis, we're going to see an even better version. And then against Teofimo, you'll see the best version of him. And the best version of Africa is scary. It's scary because he's so disciplined. His jab is crazy. He has the best jab, I would say, in the business right
Mhm.
now, you know. And when that thing is pumping, you done, bro. Like you done. And Teofimo, he's a little too cute at times. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I think he'll get caught up in that cuteness, and Africa will capitalize on it.
No, it's crazy because I feel like athletic wise, nobody touches Teofimo at 140.
No, he's way more athletic.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
discipline wise,
You ain't gonna catch Hitchens doing backflips and shit.
no, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. I would say like even angles. My biggest knock on Teofimo has been his basically, like you said, just being disciplined, and I'm
yeah,
not disciplined outside, but I'm talking about more in the ring. I feel like
yeah.
not cutting
Hmm.
off the ring against Jermaine
Right,
Ortiz.
right.
So I mean, I would love to see the Hitchison fight. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I think
hope.
it's gonna be a great fight, man. I think it's the best fight you can make at 140, to be honest. You know, although Gary Russell now is he's fun to watch. You know, he throws a lot of punches, a lot of volume. You
Yeah,
know, he's strong. But I mean that 140 is on fire right now. You know, you can
yeah,
make a lot of great fights in that division.
yeah. Somebody got a question. Shout out for the donation. He said, Roland Curtis says, "Who's the greatest fighter to ever come out of New York?"
Oh man, that's a tough question, bro. Um,
That is a tough
I
question.
mean, I think the greatest fighter of all time is Sugar Ray Robinson, and he was out of Harlem, but he's a Michigan guy, so I can't say him. He was,
Mm.
although he did start his boxing career in New York, but born and raised, it has to be Mike Tyson. You know,
I'm with you. I love Mike.
I think Riddick Bowe is another one that was naturally talented, super great.
Mhm.
Could have been way better. Zab Judah, my brother,
Shout out to Zab.
is also a guy that was maybe the most talented besides Roy Jones Jr. in history. Like, you know,
Zab
that
was,
could have been way better if he wasn't out in the streets doing his thing, you know.
yeah.
Um, yeah, there's so many in New York. It's kind of a toss up, man. If there is a best one, it's by this much, you
Yeah.
know.
Shout out to In the Ring with Christine. Now, speaking of discipline, we got to get to EB, right?
Yeah,
You know, I've been very critical of Eric Berlanga,
Edgar
Edgar,
Berlanga.
Edgar
Yeah.
Berlanga, I'm sorry. And I know I used to train him coming up, and I've
Mhm.
heard rumors of, of Edgar coming up was more of a boxer.
Yeah.
He was trained to be a boxer, and Kano
Hmm.
breaks it down to me all the time.
Counterpunch.
He's like he was
Hmm.
more of a counterpunch boxer, and then once he got to the pros, the knockout streak happened. Give us first of all, give us your story of how you were bringing up Edgar and how you met Edgar and stuff like that.
I met Edgar when he was probably like 13, maybe 12.
Hmm.
And he was with a coach. Shout out to Coach Benny Roman, who
Hmm.
is no relation to me, but we have the same last name.
Hmm.
Um, who he is the head coach now of Team Combat League, New York Attitude the team.
Hmm.
So he really was one of Edgar's first coaches. One of them. There's also Coach Mike out of Ridgewood, New York. They were kind of a team, so they like had all those guys. They had him. A few names that came out of that crew in Ridgewood / Bushwick in them days. But whatever happened with them, they had a falling out. Edgar came to me and started working with me,
Hmm.
and I had like a crew of young talented amateurs at the time. And he saw my work ethic. He saw my, we started talking boxing, and he would pick my brain, and I just helped him out. I like helping people that want to be helped. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And you get a young kid come to you with a lot of talent. It's fun to work with them. You know what I mean? Because
Hmm.
when you're passionate about it and you teach something and you see it happen in the ring, you see it unfold. It's rewarding. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so training Edgar at a young age was really rewarding because he did the things that you asked him to do, you know. And what I wanted from him was to be a boxer. You know, you know, I'm like an artist. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? And I look at this sport like it's a canvas, you know. And I don't train everybody the same. A lot of coaches will have one style of coaching, right? And I don't do that. Like my style of coaching is I take who you are as a fighter and I mold it into being a greater version of who you are because I understand all aspects of the sport, right? I'm talking about in the ring. When I have a guy that's fast, you know, a guy that's slick, we're gonna box, bro. If I got a guy that's not too fast, he's kind of slow, but he can crack a little bit, you know, I'm gonna teach you how to be aggressive, come forward, you know, stay in the pocket, that kind of stuff, you know. I'll take your attributes and I'll just sprinkle my sauce on it, pause, and
Yeah.
then you know what I'm saying? I hope you bloom into what you know you reach your full potential as a fighter. So with Edgar, he had great feet at the time. You know, we worked on his jab. You know, he has a great jab. I don't know if you see he still has that today, you know. But I wanted him to counter, you know, because he was slick, you know. Believe it or not, a lot of people don't realize that back then he was a slick boxer and he was fast. A lot of people don't realize he has quick hands. And so, you know, I just wanted him to really just be a purebred boxer. And if the knockouts came, they came, you know. Um, I lost you there. I don't know if you still there. Hold on.
I don't know what happened, but yeah, I think we're back. I don't know what happened.
Okay. So yeah, anyway, so you know, when he was coming up, people don't realize that. Like I showed people have seen, you know, some of his amateur fights on YouTube and stuff and been like, damn, that's crazy, man. Like I can't even imagine him being like that because he's so aggressive now and the way he fights. So when his last amateur fight happened during the Olympic trials, you know, he took a L and his dad you know, decided to take him to another coach. I was a younger coach at the time. You know, I, I today you know, I have no hard feelings, no ill will towards that. Me and his dad are close. You know, he helps me when he can with my own son, stuff like that for whatever I need.
Yeah,
So, you know, things happen when you train fighters, you know, and fathers in boxing always want what's best for their son. So at that
absolutely.
particular time, he thought that, you know, he could take him somewhere else and he might do better. And it sure seemed like that when he went and turned pro and went on a 16-0 run with 16 first round knockouts. You know what I'm saying? But what happens when you go on a first round knockout streak like that is you start to believe your own hype and you start to say, yo, yeah, I'm a pure puncher. Nobody can hang with me in there, you know?
Yeah.
And I like to break it down like this because people don't understand boxing, right? In those 16 fights, I think EB was pro for 4 or 5 years, right? So some of those knockouts happen quick within a minute, right?
Yeah.
So he really fought probably like 13 rounds in 4 or 5 years.
That's insane.
It's terrible. It's terrible, really, for the growth of a fighter, right? So when Top Rank decided to move him up in competition, I forget the guy's name that they put him in there with, but they fought in Orlando. You know, he went the distance the first time, right? He won 8 rounds, although he almost got the guy out of there in the last round, which showed that he carried his power late. But he went the distance, and that's when everybody kind of turned their backs on him, you know. And the thing about Edgar is like he's also a humble kid and quiet when you're around him, right?
That's right
Like
here.
when
Yeah.
you yeah, and he's a fun-loving kid. He's a jokester. Like he likes to crack jokes all day, and he likes to have fun. But on social media, he knows how to
Yeah.
rile the crowd up.
Hmm.
He knows, and it's the reason why he is where he is today, right?
Hmm.
If you look at boxing today, Ryan Garcia, right, all these guys, Rolly Romero, they talk their way into big paydays, and he
Hmm.
understood that. So he started doing it too, and that kind of rubbed people the wrong way, you know.
Hmm.
And he asked me, you know, we speak about it, and I told him, yo, keep going, keep doing it. As a matter of fact, turn it up, you know.
Hmm.
When when Anthony Joshua was fighting Daniel Dubois,
Hmm.
right? I told him, I said, yo, tell people you want to fight Anthony Joshua. He started cracking up. He said, you crazy. I said, nah, you're never gonna fight him. Just say it, do it. Tell
Hmm.
him. Just throw it out there. Because you know why? You're gonna get the boxing world speaking, and you're gonna be relevant. You're gonna stay relevant.
Hmm.
That's how Floyd Mayweather continues to stay relevant in boxing. He continues
Absolutely.
talking. He continues putting stuff out there where people they keep talking about him. Damn,
Hmm.
Floyd this, Floyd that. Yo, as long as you got them talking, this is gonna come. You're gonna make money.
Hmm.
So keep them talking for all the young fighters out there. Keep them talking about you. Keep your name in their mouth. Don't get mad when they saying bad things. Get hyped because you're getting publicity, man. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And all that publicity, whether it's negative or not. Listen, a lot of people hated Macho Camacho, but what did we say? He's an icon. A lot of people hated Mike Tyson. A lot of people hated Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
So, and he's looked upon as the greatest, maybe the greatest human being of all time. So,
Absolutely.
so let them hate. Let everybody hate because at the end, all that's going to come full circle. And when you look at your career and you look at your bank account, you'll go, okay, yeah, I did that. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So I'm not mad at EB for how he is and how he portrays himself out there to the world. As long as when he comes home, he's a good father, he's a good son, he's a good friend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And he's a good brother, and he takes care of his circle, small circle. Another thing, fighters, keep your circle small.
Small. Yeah.
Don't have a bunch of people everywhere, big entourage, man. Keep that shit for that shit is for the birds, bro. Like small circle.
You know what's funny? Everything you're saying, like I like Edgar as a person. I've heard like it's crazy because a lot of the people that he's up with, like um, I've come up with them, like literally.
Yeah.
I've seen my man Fish with him from
Mm-hmm.
SPMG. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen a lot of my man Trap Life, and they all be like,
Mm-hmm.
"Yo, man, how you don't like Edgar?" I'm like, it's not that I don't like Edgar. I like him as a person. I think he's dope. I love how he is with his son. I love
Mm-hmm.
the way he promotes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like as a fighter, he's not at the upper echelon where I believe he can be. And
Mm-hmm.
and hearing your story, him as a boxer sounds it sounds like it would have been a better he would have been a better fighter, right? But the knockouts are what kind of got him to where he's
Correct.
getting these checks. So it's kind of a double-edged sword
Yeah, exactly.
in that sense.
Yep.
And what scares me about Edgar is he now ready? And that's the question I have. And to beat some of the biggest names, I mean, he got the big check, which is Canelo.
Yeah.
He did an excellent job of getting him the big bag and the notoriety.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I wasn't too happy about the celebration in the back. I did not like that
Mm-hmm.
at all. Right? I
Mm-hmm.
really did not like that. But is he ready for the Caleb plants, for
Mm-hmm.
the and Billy's, even a Benavides fight I've heard before?
Mm-hmm.
How does he stack up against these guys? And the way he fights today, can he be successful?
All right. So when he was on the come up,
You hear me? Oh man, he just froze.
and
Come
he
on,
was,
coach.
and
Yeah, repeat what you're saying because you kind of froze. Yeah.
my apologies. So
No,
I
you
said
good.
I'm going to talk about it as a whole, right?
Yeah.
From a coaching standpoint, he
Mhm.
went from me to turning professional
Mhm.
and getting with Mark Ferret, right?
Mhm.
They went on the knockout streak. I think he got to 12-0 with 12 knockouts. And
Mhm.
then there was a change because of a management issue where
Mm-hmm.
Mark Ferret was the head coach for Gary Jonas fighters from pro box fame, right?
Okay.
So when Edgar decided, yo, I'm gonna sign with Keith Connolly,
Mm-hmm.
I'm leaving Gary Jonas. He was with Gary Jonas first. Mark said, I can't rock with you then because I rock with Gary. I train all his guys.
Mm-hmm.
Something along those lines occurred, and they had it wasn't a falling out. I think they just disagreed on where the the road was leading towards,
Yeah.
and Edgar said, okay, well then I'm gonna move on. So when he got with Keith, Keith was had Danny Jacobs, all that.
Mm-hmm.
So he was close with Andre Rozier, brought Edgar to Andre, and that's how that happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then whatever happened between Edgar and Dre, uh, they split, and Edgar found himself lost in the sauce now, right?
Mm-hmm.
To now, what do I do? So,
Mm-hmm.
coming up, we were close with Coach K Karoma, right? That's my guy.
Mm-hmm.
So he went to him for a fight, you know, in between that time. And then from K, he went to my man from Puerto Rico, De Leon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he had De Leon for a fight. So when you think about that, right,
Stability.
in a
Yeah.
in a 6 year span, he had no stability
Mm-hmm.
from a coaching standpoint, right?
Mm-hmm.
That causes confusion. That causes a fighter to question and to not understand himself. Damn,
Mm-hmm.
am I this puncher now? When I was coming up, I was. In the beginning, I wasn't. Then I was. Now I'm not again. Like, what's going on? So he started
Yeah.
losing himself a little bit. Then, amongst all that, sprinkle in all the hate from social media,
Yeah.
and he's going, "Yo, why people hate me, man? I'm not a bad person. Why they
Mm-hmm.
hate me?" He was questioning a lot. I remember he came to the gym when I had Williamsburg Boxing Club, and it was just me and him. He came through out of nowhere. He was like, "Yo, coming through." I said, "All right." Came through, was late. I closed the gym already. And he was huge, bro. He was big. I said, "Damn." And he hadn't fought in a while. So what's going on? He was like, "Yo, man, like I'm having like a dispute with Top Rank and whatever." Like he was going through it. But what was hurting him the most was the social media hate.
Mm.
It was hurting him. Like, I don't understand this, man. Like, I'm just trying to be great. Like, what? And I told him, this is why it's happening. Because when you try to be great, you're gonna have all that. All that
Mm-hmm.
hate's gonna come with being great. And you have to learn to accept it. You
Mm-hmm.
have to learn how to deal with that. Because if you don't, then you're not meant for this life. You understand? And I said, come on, man, let's go, man. Let's get to work, bro. And we worked out that day, And he was huffing and puffing. He was out of shape, OD, right? And so he left that day with a different mindset. And he said, yeah, fuck that. Like, I'm getting back to it. This is it. And he called me and he said, yo, I'm back with Mark. And it was the best thing he did. He went back to how he started as a professional, to where he got the knockout streak. And they got back to doing what they were doing. So now he's like, yes, now I'm back. I'm finding myself again. No more confusion. Mark is a great coach. Mark is a great teacher, and he's a great mental coach. He's a lot like me in that standpoint, where he
Mm-hmm.
gets in a fighter's mind. You know, I love that about Mark, where a lot he's been going viral lately with his "I don't believe in magic." Right? I don't
Mm-hmm.
know if you saw that video
No,
where
I haven't yet. I'll check it
yeah,
out.
he's working the corner with him, and they spar, and he says something about along the lines of like, I'm not like your other fighter. Edgar tells him, I'm not like your other fighters, man. You're gonna see the magic on fight night. And he said, I don't believe in magic. I believe in hard work. And I
Mm.
love that. I love that, because that's what Edgar needs. He needs a coach like that in his corner who's
Mm-hmm.
tough with him and who can get in his mind. A lot of these coaches can do that. A lot of them, I don't want to call them yes men because they my boys and stuff, and I don't think they were yes men. But they see dollar signs when Edgar comes around. It's a nice payday
Absolutely.
for them,
Mm-hmm.
And if you got a lot of fighters, you kind of got to take Edgar on as a one-on-one when you train him, because he has too much going on. And if you
Mhm.
turn around, he might be on IG, beefing with
Yeah.
somebody, Twitter, you know what I mean? And you kind of got to keep him in line. And so his dad is good with that, right? His dad is good
Mhm.
with keeping him in line. And I know his dad always wanted Mark there, always. Like when we would talk, he would
Yeah.
say, "Oh man, I'm mad that he's not with Mark, man. I want Mark back." And so thank God, like I think it was through the grace of God that brought Mark back to Edgar's life.
Yeah.
And I think that this next run after this Canelo fight that he had, I think you're gonna see the best Edgar Berlanga possible. He's gonna reach his full potential now. Before the Canelo fight, he was trying to get that bag, right? So what you saw in a lot of those fights was cautious Berlanga. He was very
Mhm.
cautious because he didn't want to fuck up. He didn't want to mess up that bag because he knew it was there. He knew it was there. Those talks were happening behind the closed doors before anybody knew about them,
Yeah.
right? Um, Keith Connolly was talking to Canelo's team for years already about it. Yo,
Mhm.
Puerto Rico versus Mexico, and Eddie Reynoso was all in. He wanted that fight as well, so they
Mhm.
knew it was going to happen. But he had to play his part.
Mhm.
They couldn't do it in that moment because he didn't have the resume yet. You know what I mean? So they wanted to give him a few more fights. And although people say, "Oh, he doesn't have the fucking resume still to this day," well,
Mhm.
that's cool. But Canelo has knocked out a lot of dudes, and Edgar gave him a hell of a good fight, man. It was entertaining. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Um, People say, "Oh, he didn't win a round." I think he won a few rounds. I gave him a couple of them rounds, early rounds, because Canelo wasn't doing anything. You know, but
Mhm.
then yeah, he beat him. He beat him. But listen, he went in there and he did his thing, and now he got that shit off his back. Now he doesn't have to worry about, oh, I got to be cautious. Bro, he's guaranteed. He was just guaranteed another 8-figure payday to fight Munguia. So
Mm.
If Munguia handles business on May 3rd, it's on. In September, we're going to see Berlanga versus Munguia. And that fight is huge, bro. It's huge. And I think that Edgar's going to go all out. And I think he's going to knock Munguia out. So when we come back to, can he hang with these guys? Absolutely. Absolutely. Now we're going to see what EB is all about. He's going to knock out Munguia. Charlo can't mess with him. It's too much of a layoff for Charlo, to although Charlo, is a great fighter and he has a good jab. I think that he'll beat Charlo. And then when it comes to Plant, obviously Plant will be the best fighter he's fought besides Canelo. And Plant is a pure boxer who could cause fits for people, but he fades late, and Berlanga does not fade late, right? He showed in the
Mm.
Canelo fight that he could hang
Yeah.
with you. You know what I mean? So if EB and Mark come up with a game plan to where they go into the body early, they cut the ring off, and they got the jab pumping all night long, he could beat Plant. Mark my words, he can beat Caleb Plant. Everybody, oh, Plant's gonna beat him. Plant's gonna. Okay, watch, watch.
No, it's crazy, man. You're making me, I really fuck with you, dog. I ain't gonna front. Like, you're making me like Edgar. And I'm like, and I never disliked him. I just like, bro, like, I want to see better. You know what I'm saying?
And I think you will. I
I want you
think
to
you
be
will.
great.
Look,
And
look. Eddie Hearn tried to play him this last fight, right?
okay. Mm.
They put him on the undercard. They put him in there with the dude, right?
Yeah.
And you know what? Eddie Hearn in his mind really thought that Edgar was gonna maybe take this guy, the full distance, or it was
Mm.
gonna take time for him to take him out of there, or he thought that this dude was gonna make EB look stupid.
Mm.
And what did EB do? He walked in there, he took care of business first round, get him out of here. You feel stupid, I'm a free agent. You know what I'm saying? And if you see after that fight, Keith Connolly's getting in Eddie's ass right there in the
Mm.
middle of the ring. He's looking, he's going like this, and Eddie Hearn's like, like, yeah, because now we got you, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Now we got you. You tried to play us, but didn't work. So now what? Okay, so now you're a free agent. So let's see, man. Turkey Alice and Keith Connolly have a relationship now. Let's see what happens throughout all this, you know?
My man Roland, shout out for the donation. He says, is Berlanga serious or trolling about
Yeah.
fighting Plant?
Yeah, he's serious. It's just a build-up, you know? We know that he's gonna fight Munguia first. And that fight is huge. The Munguia fight is bigger than the Plant fight.
You think so?
Not for boxing enthusiasts. For boxing enthusiasts, we want to see Plant versus Berlanga.
Mm-hmm.
But for the world, for Mexico, there's nothing bigger than Mexico versus Puerto Rico, bro. Nothing. It doesn't matter who you put in there. Like, we're gonna watch it.
Let me ask you, and you said Munguia is the more likely fight if Munguia handles business, which more likely he probably will, right? For September. If he does get Munguia, let's say he doesn't win, does he get to Plant? Is that too much of a risk? Because I prefer to see him fight Plant, like right away. But you know, again, I think Plant's the better boxer than a Munguia. I think Munguia is going to be straight ahead, and again, if Edgar can control him with a jab, he could put him out. We've seen Munguia go to sleep.
Yeah. Against a guy that can't punch.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, do you think he should go to Plant first or Munguia?
Munguia. Yeah, absolutely. No question.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This interview, I really rock with you, bro. Like, this is probably my favorite interview I've done. And you know, a lot of people critique me. They get mad at me, like my boys, because you know they all rock with Edgar. A lot of people he's with all the time. My guy designs all his clothes, and I'm just like, bro, I don't hate Edgar. Let me just say, Edgar. I actually like Edgar. I like him as a person. I love how he is with his son. I got 4 kids of my own, and if you're not loving your kids to the world, I can't respect it. And Edgar does that. I think Edgar's very
He's
talented.
A great father.
Exactly. And the trolling, I love it because it gives me stuff to talk about.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yo, I'm not gonna lie. You made me, you know what, Edgar? It's a clean slate for me and you, right?
There we
From
go.
here on, if you do what you gotta do, bro, I'm gonna what's his merchandise thing? I'm gonna go buy some merchandise from Edgar, man.
There you go.
Yo, you are one of the best. I gotta have you on as many times as possible if you would ever have me. I know it took a lot of your time because you're just super dope, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
Appreciate you, man.
But you know, moving forward. Oh, actually, but I can't go without that. First of all, you're doing a lot in the community. You're running. I know you. I think you're launching or you're putting a focus on one of the gyms that you're specifically working at now. Let everybody know.
Well. Let me say this, right? We in a gym in Bushwick, right? It's kind of like a big gym, like a Blink Fitness type gym, right?
Okay.
It's called Green Fitness, right? Okay. It's been there since like 2010 or 2011, something like that. But there's boxing. When you go to the back of the gym, there's a boxing gym, right? Separated from it, you know, and like hardly anybody knows about this gym. You know, it's been there for years, and when I first moved back to New York, I started training fighters in that gym. You know, I had Edgar there. Like all those fighters were there. All the big names have come through that gym, but it gets no notoriety at all, right?
Yeah.
So just in the past like few months, I said, man, let me start big up in this gym and letting it be known a little bit that this is here, you know, to give some of the other coaches in the gym, you know, some kind of like notoriety and let them feel proud of what they got going on there. You know what I mean? And so we in the back there is called Bushwick Boxing Club, right? And it's a lot of really like just young amateurs coming out of that gym, you know. And I just wanted to give them, you know, I'm from Bushwick and there's no gyms really in Bushwick, so I wanted to give them a little bit of clout, you know. But upon saying that, I'm working on something right now really big that could be happening soon, and I ain't gonna talk about it just yet, but we're gonna wait. But probably the next time we speak, there's gonna be another entity under the Coach ER banner.
Oh, listen, man, you got my 100% support. Whatever you need, bro, please. You know what I mean? Just
appreciate that, man.
No, bro, listen, man. This is definitely probably my favorite interview, bro. I just, you know, I was a little nervous coming up. I'm like, I know he's Edgar's people. You know what I mean? And I've been very critical of Edgar. You know what I mean? But, you know, bro, You're legit, dog. I
Thank
really,
you, brother.
really, God bless you, bro. Like you're an awesome person.
I appreciate it, man.
I wish your son the best. I know your son's. I mean, do you want him to go pro before we go?
Yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, he wants to. He wants to. You know,
yeah.
I'm holding him back now. Like he wants to do it now. I'm like, nah, we're not doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't. I'm not one to get gassed up. And you know, we got offers on the table, people throwing money at us, and I don't
Mhm,
care. Like my son is gonna turn pro when he's good and ready. You know, and right now,
mhm.
yeah, he'll win. He'll win fights. Sure, he'll be undefeated. Yeah, we could build them up, but I'm not. I don't want that. You know what I'm saying? Like we're gonna fight internationally towards the end of this year. He had a hand injury that set him back just now.
Mhm.
So he's in the process of healing that right now. He's still in the gym training hard. He's still doing what he has to do. And hopefully towards the end of the year we'll be able to go to these tournaments that we have lined up, and he can start really he's only 18 years old.
Mhm.
So you know, it's just the beginning for him. You know what I mean? He's been boxing since he's 6 years old. It's his life. You know, it's really all he knows. You know, and he loves it. That's another thing about him. You know, so yeah, I
I
can't
got
wait for him
I
to
got
pro.
one more question for you. I know I've taken a lot of your time, but I just fuck
It's
with you,
cool.
right? How hard is it though? Because I feel like the father-son dynamic is very difficult. We've seen Teofimo
Yeah.
Senior, Junior. We've seen Shane Mosley
Hmm.
with his father. We've seen a bunch of those relationships, and a lot of them fall out. There's been a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's not easy, man. It's not easy, and it has a lot to do with. It's a lot of things, man. It's like you know, emotionally, you know, as a father, you can't help but be a father, right? So like when you have a fighter in the corner, you know, you'll tell him to do things, and they might be risky, you know, but you know, like, yo, if you do it though, and you listen to me, we're gonna win, you know.
Mhm.
Sometimes as a father, you go, damn, that's risky, and I'm putting my son in harm's way, you know. Should I do that? You know what I mean? So you play this game in your head, like, well, I have to do it. I have to get this father out of my head. I'm a coach right now. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, and I think that's where a lot of father and son duos like mess up,
Mhm.
because the father can't get out of that father mindset, you know,
Yeah.
and you have to be a coach, and then you have to look at your son as a fighter. You know, you have to look at him like you would any of your other fighters. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And it's difficult. It's difficult more so in the heat of battle, right? In the middle of a fight. Like sometimes it's happened. You know, I've lost myself. I get mad at him, and the father comes out. Why aren't you listening to me? You know, and I think to myself, and I go, damn. Afterward, you know, I wouldn't have did that if it was one of my fighters. Where
Yeah.
did I go wrong? So I have to go back and fix that, you know. And I've been able to do that. You know, I've been able to learn from my mistakes, you know, as a father. And then, you know, I came up in the gym with one of the best father-son duos in history, which was the Judas, right?
Mhm.
I got to work side by side with Yoel Judah for years. You know, we trained
Mhm.
a couple fighters together,
Mhm.
and I was able to ask him, you know, like, how do I go about doing this, or how to, and he taught me things. You know, if there was one thing that I learned from Yoel Judah, it was how to raise my son as a fighter. Because, see, like I said, for myself, I was undisciplined, so I know how to discipline a fighter, right? In the same aspect, his son was undisciplined, and he lost his son when his son, you know, said, "Yo, Pop, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna go to this trainer." I don't know if you remember, Zab went to Pernell Whitaker for a while.
Mhm. Yep.
Remember that? And so like he was like, "All right, man," you know, so he knows
Had
what
to hurt.
happened.
Yeah.
He knows what happened that led up to
I think he froze again. I'm sorry. Yeah. Yo.
him
Yo.
losing his son to
Yeah.
Pernell, and then him coming back. All this that happened, all that. So I'm grateful for that, man. I was grateful for him to be on my side like that, and teach me those things about my son. Because now that my son is 18, I know when there's you know, when certain things are happening. You know, I know if he's out there with a little shorty and the shorty's in his head, and
Yeah. Now females will do it to you, man. They're the worst. You know what I mean? Oh man, this guy, no, Eric, yo, E, no, don't go. He just froze up on us again, guys. Damn it. No. Hold on, y'all. My man just froze up. It's all good. This is a great interview, man. My man. Oh, where's this coach? Hold on. Let me remove. And just stage. Yo, you there?
Yeah, I'm here, bro.
I don't know. It's the Wi-Fi. It's all good. But no, it's
Can you see me or
dope,
not?
man. No, it's all good. No, I don't see you at all. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know what happened here.
It's all good. We're about to wrap it up anyway because the wife wants me to take her to lunch. But
I bet.
I definitely wish you, your son, best of luck. I definitely want to continue to build this relationship. Got a lot of respect for you. Again, like I said, Edgar, with a clean slate, man. I'm judging you from Munguia on. Okay.
There you go.
It's gonna be a crazy gauntlet with Charlo, Munguia, and Billy,
There you go.
Caleb Plant. Oh, there you go. So, you know, I definitely rock what you're going with. The father-son shit is crazy. Like, I mean, it's dope because I've seen so many. But there was one that really made me sad. That's why I don't like father-son duos. And I remember, I think it was Jose Suarez is his name. I think his name, the southpaw kid out of the Bronx, I think, or Harlem.
Josue Vargas.
Josue Vargas, yes.
Yeah.
And I remember his last fight. It kind of made me sad. Like his dad was like, just they wouldn't stop the fight, and it just made me like, whoa. It was crazy. Like he was taking a beating in the fight, and it kind of freaked me out. And you just hear a lot of bad things with that. But
I think you are you sure you talking about that one or the kid from Cali, Gabriel Flores?
No, it was Josue Vargas. That's what it was. It was the last time when he got knocked out in that first round. I just said hearing his father just yelling him out in the court. That's why I brought it up. But listen, you've been there. You've been around a lot of great fighters. I feel like your son is in great hands. And anybody's looking for a trainer, man. He's that guy, man. Keeps it real. He don't care, man. Whether you feel that, and that's what you need, man. But again, let them know where they can find you, man. I'm gonna let you rock out. I appreciate you.
No doubt, man. I'm on Instagram. It's just Eric_Roman_SR. That's for senior. Because Malito's name is Eric Roman Jr. But everybody calls him Malito. Everybody knows him as a little bad boy since he was little.
Word.
So he got that nickname, But yeah, man, I appreciate you for having me on. I just want to give one shout out though, very important for me, because a lot of people always ask me about, how I start my love for boxing started.
Yeah.
But they never really asked me about how I got involved with boxing, how I started fighting and all that. And that I want to give credit to nobody other than my mom. And I want to shout out my mom. Ma, I love you. Thank you for instilling greatness in me and for showing me the love that you showed me throughout my life and being my number one fan. It was her that brought me to a boxing gym when I was 11 years old. And it was her that got me to where I am today. And I give all credit to her for that. Without her, I wouldn't be here. So shout out my mom, Miss Evelyn. I love you.
Yeah, shout out to mom. That's who actually, when I had the call that interrupted, that was my mom too.
Oh, there you go. You gotta take that.
Word.
Yeah. It's crazy because my mom is a boxing aficionado. Like she'll sit here just like me and talk your ear off of boxing. She knows everybody. She watches all the fights.
Nice.
She's on point with them. She'll be like, "Yo, man, this guy wasn't using his jab, man," and she knows her shit, boy. Let me tell you, man. And sometimes I'll ask her, like, I'll send her a video. I'll be like, "Yo, mom, watch this kid. Tell me what you think," And she'll call me. He's good. Sometimes she'll be like, "Nah, he's all right, man." And I'll be like, "Damn, she's right."
That's hilarious.
So shout out to my mom for being.
Shout out to Mom Dukes.
She got the boxing IQ on point too.
That's what's up, man. I appreciate that. Shout out to Moms E. I'm definitely gonna be in contact with you, man. I'm actually giving you my number too, bro.
I bet, yeah, do that.
Let me know anything you got going on. I'll support. I'll come through. Whatever. I mean, I live in Atlanta now. You need to get out of Brooklyn. I live in Atlanta now.
Okay, that's what's up.
I used to live in Brooklyn. I had to get out of there. All these 15 mile per hour through the whole city. I can't do that.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you, brother. You know what I mean? Till next time.
Man. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate you guys. Peace.
Thank you, brother. Shout out to my guy E. That was a super dope interview. I'm gonna bring some shit like that, which I told you, man. That was a dope interview. I'm not gonna lie. I'm definitely gonna chop up that interview. Crazy. There was so many dope things that he spoke about with Richardson Hitchison, with Edgar Berlanga, just his experiences with his son, him coming up, Mike Tyson. I'm gonna break that all down. But again, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I told y'all we're gonna keep this shit going. This is gonna be the biggest podcast for boxing, period. And it's because of y'all. So continue to share, continue to support. Shout out to my day ones rolling. You know what I mean? Thank you for the support. Shout out to my usual co-host, Christine. Again, I love y'all. Thank you.